and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing something very fun. So, yeah. Sorry. Today is Tuesday, and I'm deciding to make a present for my grandma. And she loves birds, so I'm going to be doing something that incorporates that. But here's the thing. We're going to be going to her house and doing the party on Friday. So I have a couple of days to get this done. So I gotta work fast and work hard. Yep. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of brainstorming on what that would be, and I've come up with this kind of conclusion. So I have these feathers here, and I'm going to be putting them on some kind of background, which will be framed, of course, with good old cardboard. And it's going to look something like this. This will be the background. Of course, it'll be painted because, you know, Build-A-Bear doesn't really run with those. And I had the idea of painting the feather, just like the top half, of the head of the bird that these feathers are to the bird. So like this would be a raven. This one would be a great horned owl, and then this one would be another wild bird. I know what it is, but I don't know how you pronounce it. It's got like a crest, and it's blue. So yeah. And then I'm going to go in and use cardboard from the rest of this box to make a frame, and then covering the frame with a whole bunch of random feathers I have in this box. Some are actually like wild, and some of them are from the store. Speaking of wild feathers, if you guys do happen to do something like this and you do find wild feathers from like birds outside, please do spray them with disinfecting, because birds and rats are one of the main animals that carry diseases. So yeah, but you know, since there's like a couple days, I'm gonna go ahead and hand these off to my buddy Bob Doss to get these painted while I'm working on the background. So here you go. Oh, thank you, Madeline. Okay, so now that we have the feathers, our first step, which was to sanitize them, but Maddie already did. Thank you. The next step is to paint the background for these birds. But since these are feathers, they can't exactly go on easels, so we'll have to move to the desk. Okay, so while Bob Doss is working on the feathers, I'm going to be painting this background here. And I want it to be kind of like just like one color, so that you mainly look at the feathers. And then the background's just kind of soft and something. So I don't know, I'll have to think of what color I'll do with this, but probably like something dark, you know, kind of something close to black. And then the frame, of course, will be painted black with a bunch of feathers on top of it, so that the feathers pop out, because they're very colorful and fake, of course. So yeah, to let you know what I'm doing, I'm going to speed this process up so you can see it in action. Without further ado, let's go! Okay, now I'm over at my desk, and so we have to work on a background, because if we were to just paint the birds on these feathers, they wouldn't really show up because they're the same color as the feathers, or generally. So what I'm going to do is paint a background, a nice light background, so that the head really pops out and you can see it and you know what it is. For the background color, I'm just going to be doing a very light gray. Something soft, something simple. And then, but here's the thing about feathers. They are very delicate and they can easily separate and visually making it look crappy and gross. So I have devised something. Instead of trying to paint it very delicately, trying not to split it, I'm instead just going to stamp it right on top, keeping them together and not splitting them apart by doing strokes. So I have a little sponge, you see? This works, but, you know, these also work. You just might have to use the side of a tip. It's more easier to work with that. And then it's very easy to get a lot of paint in this, just by dipping in straight into the paint and making it look really blotchy and thick. It's not really what we want. We want a nice soft background that kind of fades out on the sides, you know? So I'm going to be using a separate brush to dip into the paint and then to paint it on the top. That way it is nice and light and fluffy. There's not a lot of paint. Obviously we're going to have to do a lot of like this, you know, back and forth, but it's what we need. So for this part of the video, I'm going to be doing that exact part with the background, speeding it up of course so you can see it in action, and then the next step is painting the shapes of the head and then working from there. So without further ado, I'm going to speed this process up, see it in action. Let's go! Okay, now that the feather is dried, you can see that it is very light with the paint. I didn't overdose. You can see it kind of fades out as it goes out. I wanted to do it to where you can still see the color of the feather on the edges, kind of making it look like it's appearing on the feather instead of like, you know, being printed on top. So they came out very nice. And now I'm going to be showing you how my process is with painting the birds on it. Now I'm going to be doing the hardest one so I can take it step by step in showing you how to kind of be looking for with like painting something that's very detailed. So we're going to be doing the great horned owl. This is actually a feather of it, or very close to it. And there's the photo coming up now. You can see one main thing is its shape, its head shape that we're looking at, which is round, and then it has the two horns coming out, which we can add later after drawing the circle. And when also looking at the head, you want to look for like the main color it has. Now the great horned owl is a little tricky because it has a lot of color. But in my opinion, the main color that it has is a light brown, or a nice golden one. And then the rest is kind of a little bit darker brown, black, white, and then yellow in the eyes. So yeah. So I have all the colors here. You can see I have the dark brown, light brown, white, black, and yellow. And because there is a very small amount of space, I'm going to be trying to keep this relatively in the space where it's mostly gray and doesn't fade out. So you can still see the feather and everything. And like the fading out of the gray circle. So I have this kind of big pointer brush that I'm going to be using to draw the circle and then kind of make the little horns come out. And then I have these much smaller ones where I can add in the detail of the white and black. So let's go ahead and paint the circle. So you can see I'm pressing down the feather so that it is flat and not bowing, because a lot of feathers do that. And you want a very flat surface so you're very precise. And I'm just starting off with a very small, manageable circle, and then I can go back in and continue to make it bigger while keeping it circular. The head is also kind of oval, so it's going to like come down a lot more than going like more out. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now. You can definitely see you sometimes have to fight with the spine because it kind of sticks out and it's smooth, so the paint isn't really sticking on. But there is the main circle, and then I'm going to go ahead and go in and draw the horns. Now they kind of like come out like giant eyebrows more than horns, so they don't exactly stick up. Like that. So you can kind of see the shape. I know it's kind of hard because lighting, I'm doing my best. Okay, we're gonna let that dry for a little bit. Okay, now looking back at the photo, you could see that there is a lot happening around the eyes, with the top of the head and like under the beak. So we're gonna start off painting the eyes and then working our way out. Some people do have the tendency of like doing everything on the outside and then working their way in, which can cause disproportionateness and making it look kind of funky. So normally whenever you're painting, say, a bird or a person or an animal, it's good to always start in the middle and then work your way out. And it's also good to like draw everything out before painting. So, whoops. So I'm going to be using a small brush. I'm going to start with the yellow. And I'm just going to draw circles kind of in like the middle top area. There. And then kind of wiping my brush and then grabbing some black. I'm going to then kind of paint the pupils, which for this photo appears to be kind of up higher on the eye. So it's kind of what I did right there. So you can kind of see where it is. Kind of looking up kind of innocent right now. Doesn't look as angry as the actual photo. And then the beak is kind of aligned with the bottom portion of the pupils and in the center. So we're going to try and do that. So I'm just going to draw something like this. There you go, kind of a little cute owl right now. And then whenever that is dry, or I guess we can go right now, go ahead and while we still have the black, kind of lay out where some of the areas are, like little circular area around the eyes, and then maybe some spots here and there under the beak, and then all the spots over the head and the horns are definitely a lot darker. So we can go ahead and do that. Go ahead and grab my seat. Okay, so, and I think I'm going to actually switch to an even smaller brush to not make these spots very big. I'm going to see that they aren't exactly full circles. They're more like a very open C. And then taking some more black, I'm going to kind of very heavily speckle the top of the head. Kind of make it come down to a point in between the eyes. And then kind of spreading out these spots just a hair as you start to move up. Then for the horns, or I guess the ears, I don't really know, kind of just like a line. And the black kind of takes up most of the ears here. So we're going to do that the same sides. There. You see that you can definitely see the great horned owl coming into it now. And isn't just normal in any type of owl. Okay, so other areas. So let's just take a little bit more black. And the rest of the speckles of black are kind of under the area of the beak. So you can see there's like some, I don't know, maybe speckles here, here, that kind of like come out like that. And then you get further down, it kind of turns into lines. There. And then we're kind of done with the black. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my brushes, and then I'm going to add in the white. Okay, I'm back, and now it's time to do a little bit of the white. So I'm also, again, going to grab the very small brush, and I'm going to take some white. Now with painting, it's a lot of layers with things. So you can see by like really looking at a picture or a photo that you want to recreate, you have to kind of tell and see what color should be placed on the top and the bottoms. Now, I'm saying this because I realize looking at the very middle of the face, there's a lot of white around the beak, which I could have added the white before, but I didn't. So there's a little bit of white around that kind of connect the eyebrows. So, and I'm not particularly doing strokes. I'm more of just kind of tapping it, making dots because of the type of texture. I'm also gonna fill in this area right here. and then come around. So I kind of surrounded the beak a little bit, and then it also comes out and kind of connects with the black circle, which is what I'm doing. And then what else does it do? Kind of comes down a little bit more around the beak, and then there's kind of like a big area. There's a lot of white, so which is what I'm doing right now. Just kind of adding that area. There. And I'll add a few tiny specks here and there of white to kind of even it out there. Here we go. And that, my friend, is the head of a great horned owl. And since I demonstrated this, I'm going to speeding the process up of painting the raven head on this and the other bird on this, which I don't know how to pronounce, but you'll see the picture of it for both of these whenever I'm painting them. And then we'll be probably putting it together. So, without further ado, I'm going to speed this process up so you can see it in action. Let's Okay, now that all of these are finally done, we see we got the little raven on this big feather. We have the great horned owl on this medium feather. And then I decided to change it up and go with a woodpecker for the last one, since the other one just didn't really come out very well on a smaller feather. Now that these are all done, I can hand these off to Maddie, and she can put this all together with the frame. So, here you go. Okay, thank you, Bob. Now that we have all 3 of the feathers, we can finally put it on the background and then attach the frame on top. So you can see there's a pretty good looking woodpecker. We got a raven, and we got an owl. So I already have the hot glue gun ready. I'm going to start with the middle one, and I'm going to just apply hot glue right down the middle of the spine. Dee. Okay. First one, we're just gonna put it dead center and then press it down. So that way the feather isn't bowing up. It's like flat and professional looking. Also using like Gorilla hot glue, so it's like really, really strong. Wowee. Okay, next one. Okay. Yoink. Okay, and then here is the owl one. Yep. And, you know, before I got the feathers, I went ahead and measured, or not measured, kind of see how big the frame was compared to the background. And it is a little big, so I like cut out a bunch of these rectangles so that I can like hot glue the frame and the background together, you know, like you see in the back of a, I don't know, frame, and you have photos on them. You like take the back out and replace the picture and whatnot. Okay, there is the last feather. Definitely a size difference with the last one, but it was these are like the only 3 biggest feathers I have besides my quill. This puppy. This is like a really big feather compared to it. And I turned that into a pin. So yeah. Okay, so now that that's there, you should kind of flip it on over. Grab the frame. Flip it as well. Oops, and because there's like feathers like overlapping that's coming out, you're gonna have to go like these. So you can see like there's parts where it doesn't really align very good. So this is what this is for. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this part out, and then you guys will see the final piece. See you in a minute, or I guess a second. Voila! It is finished, my dudes. Alright, so looky there. So we got the main feathers inside the frame, and then we have a whole buttload of feathers all around it with a few different ones here and there, going all the way around. You know, it looks pretty good. You can see the back, how I did it. Bunch of pieces all hot glued. As you can kind of see, it looks a little uneven with, like, you know, how it pops out there and there. But all in all, it came out really nice and I like it. And I think my grandma's going to love it. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. And bye!